Well, Vice President Harris's concession speech today reflected on her whirlwind campaign and left her voters with a message of hope and faith in democracy.
Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up.
Our Laura Barrón-López was at Harris's watch party last night. She's been following the Democratic reaction since the party's decisive loss in this election. She joins me now. Laura, good to see you here.
Good to be here.
So tell us more about that concession speech. What was Harris's message directly to the Americans who voted for her?
Vice President Harris returned to Howard, where her watch party was last night, and she nodded to the fear and the anxiety that many Americans who voted for her are feeling, but also warned against apathy.
To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed, but please know it's going to be okay. The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before. And so to everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together.
That line where she talked about Democrats needing to organize and Americans who supported her needing to organize and mobilize was one that drew a lot of cheers from the crowd there today, Amna. And ultimately, it was a lack of enthusiasm that the vice president was facing. She was facing headwinds of a lack of interest and a lack of, and disillusionment amongst some voters with her and with her party. And yet today she was trying to speak directly to them again to say that those are voters that ultimately her party is going to continue to fight for.
Yeah, we heard some optimism there, kind of some calls to action, but you also mentioned she spoke to this uncertainty, the apprehension that some American voters are feeling right now. Tell us more about that.
A lot of Democrats, including those who repeatedly said that they thought Donald Trump could win, were shocked today. And Harris was trying to address that shock, that fear, but she was also trying to project today hope and resilience.
I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time, but for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The the light of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service.
That feeling of entering a dark time is one that I heard from many Democrats today, especially Democrats of color. Amna, and I spoke to one Black Democratic campaign veteran who said that the country was confronted with nationalistic, xenophobic, racist, and sexist messaging from Trump and his campaign, and yet still said yes to a second term, and that Democrats are going to have to figure out how to battle that next go around, the next presidential race.
So in speaking with those Democratic officials and sources, did any of them reflect on the election result itself and how this happened?
Many of them did reflect on it. But first, Amna, I want to note that President Biden spoke to both Vice President Harris today, congratulating her on her run, on her historic campaign. And he also called President-elect Donald Trump, congratulating him. And Donald Trump's campaign said that the president-elect plans to go to the White House to speak with Biden and ensure a peaceful transfer of power. But there was some finger-pointing today, Amna, amongst Democrats. Some lawmakers and sources that I spoke to said that they thought that President Biden should never have attempted a run for re-election, that if he had stepped out sooner, that could have maybe solved this. Few felt that Harris could have done anything differently, that she was battling incumbency headwinds. One Black Democratic organizer I spoke to in Michigan said that there was a lot of talk about protecting democracy, but then ultimately when they went door to door to talk to voters in their communities in Detroit, that democracy just fell on deaf ears because people were concerned about their livelihoods.
What did you hear on the ground? I mean, you were at that watch party talking to voters. What did you hear from them last night?
Last night, they were upset. They were surprised. And today, our producer, Layla Karan, was on the ground, and she spoke to a voter from Minnesota who said that they feel immense fear, disappointment. A Latina young voter, 22, from North Carolina, said that she is now scared for the safety of her family because she lives in a mixed-status family and is concerned about deportations.
Big picture, we may not be able to answer this now, but what's next for the Democratic Party?
The two biggest takeaways, Amna, is that I heard across the board from Democrats is that they feel as though they need to have a reckoning with how they reach Latinos, working class voters, and men. And the second thing was that Democrats need to rethink how they talk to those voters, how they communicate with them, and that the traditional sources that they use and the traditional campaigning that they've employed may not work anymore.
All right, that's our Laura Barrón-López. Laura, thank you.
Thank you.